was an industrial designer, but mostly a social engineer. He lived through the Great Depression in 1929 and came out of it thinking that there were still goods in store windows, things in cars and car lots, but people just didn't have the money to buy things. So he realized it was the rules of the game that we play by that were so screwed up. And from when he was very young, he set out to find an alternative social design to take care of the problems that we have today. This is what's very different between Jacques and other protesters and people who understand that the system is not working, but they do not pose an alternative. I don't know of anyone else who tries to find the root causes of the problems and understands that things cannot be fixed within the monetary system and the system that we live by today. So Jacques has worked, he's 95 years old, he's worked since he was very young, working with people, drug addicts, alcoholics, changing them, joining the Ku Klux Klan, and changing them, putting his educational processes to test, and understanding if he needs to change the world, he needs to be able to change people's values as well. So he's arrived at a totally new social design, and he backs it up technically. These are not just words that he talks about. If you go to our website, thevenusproject.com, you'll see what this new world civilization, the sustainable future would look like.
So I see eventually, whether the Venus Project gets off the ground or not, this is what I see. I see machines displacing people. And if you displace people in the automotive industry, where the machine picks up the car, puts the wheels on, you're displacing millions of people. You don't need air conditioning, you don't need to pay them for vacation, you don't need to take out insurance on their health, and you don't need all the lights you need with people working there. So industry will put in machines wherever they can. But here's the downfall. If you keep doing that all over the country, people will not have the money to buy vacuum cleaners, electric fans, or refrigerators. If you displace most people by machines, how are they going to buy things? So it's a self-contradictory system. And this is the basis of understanding that politics was good 100 years ago, but it's obsolete today. Everything that you have in your home, those of you that have a home, your television set, your washing machine, your refrigerator, your electric lights, are all technical. There's nothing political about that. Oh, it's all technical. If you took away the technology today, you'd have people pulling boats along the river. Do you understand that? It's technology that frees you from things. It's electric air conditioning that makes your house tolerable. So we don't want to put the technicians in control any more than they're in control today. All the technicians do is build bridges if you're a bridge designer. If you're an airplane designer, people work on airplane designs, but you don't tell people what to do. It isn't that technicians will rule the world. I'm against that. I'm against scientists ruling the world. I don't see any real scientists protesting against the exploitation of young kids when they work in factories. We used to hire children that were 12 years old and put them in factories and work them Saturday and Sunday. It's when people marched to free those kids from those conditions. Why do women have to fight for women's rights? Why do women have to march years ago for a public library? I don't know why just women did, but they did march, and they wanted a public library. So if people couldn't afford books, they could have access to books. Well, then there's the metaphysician who really believes that everybody has goodness within themselves. They really don't have anything within themselves. If you were brought up in Nazi Germany as a baby, after Hitler burned most of the books, you'd be a Nazi. If you're brought up in Australia, you say, "How are you, mate?" That would be normal to the way you speak. If you're brought up in Germany, Deutschland über alles, Germany above all. If you're brought up that way. So you mustn't hate anybody, because they're all brought up. What are American soldiers? They are killing machines. They're not taught anything else. If I had anything to do with it, I would take all the soldiers, Send them back to the university to become problem solvers. We have a lot of problems that aren't solved, and that's what we need, problem solvers. For every Edison we found, imagine all the Edisons we never found. I don't say Edison was good either, he was a crook also.
Don't scientists usually rely on statistics to make a decision? It seems usually it's statistical analysis, and then they draw a conclusion from that, and then as science evolves and as we make new sciences, we will again have like better kinds of statistics or whatever, and then we'll apply those to the new technology that we develop. So how do we develop a language that's not subject to interpretation, like statistical interpretation?
Scientists today are commercially rewarded for being chemists or working for the drug companies or working for the aircraft companies. They're just as corrupt as anyone else. And scientists, if they were scientists, they say, what makes war? Why are we going to war with Germany? What's the problem? What makes a man the way they are? They wouldn't stay in their field. Today they're chemists with scientific and chemistry. Then they're structural engineers that are scientific in structures, but they're not scientific in human relations. They know nothing about, or little about human behavior. So I'm saying there's no such thing as a scientist yet. Otherwise they'd be out here in the protest. Do you understand? I'm not talking about a world managed by scientists. I'm a world managed by scientific method. That means first you do a survey of Texas. How much arable land do you have? How much water do you have underground? After you do that survey, you can estimate how big a city can be built in that region. If it doesn't have the resources, it won't work. If you have a population far above 7 billion, there'll not be enough food to go around, and there's going to be territorial disputes. Territorial disputes are not made by bad people, or fascists, or communists, or socialists, or free enterprises. They're made by social conditions called the march of events. In other words, if the media were coming toward the earth, I can assure you that all nations would stop their armies and navies and share ideas with one another to try to divert that media away from the earth. Not because they're good, but because they're all threatened. All nations will join together on any common threat if they realize it. Yes.
I'm a mother of 7 children. Which of my 5 children should not be here so that way it would reduce the population of the earth?
Well, all I can say, if you want a world without war, without hunger, without poverty, it has to be in accordance with the carrying capacity of the Earth's resources. If you go beyond that, you're going to have trouble. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It seems to me what you're saying is that you want fewer people, but who are you to designate who the people that should and should not be here?
No, he's not saying that at all.
I'm asking for clarification.
You have to listen and know more about this system. What he's proposing is a system based on the methods of science to produce abundance for everyone in the quickest time without polluting the earth. He's talking about a system based on the well-being of people and the environment. He's talking about a system that does not use money. As long as you use money, you'll have corruption, greed, crime, embezzlement. So he's trying to get rid of the root causes of the problem. We have enough goods and resources to take care of the entire population and even more if we use it wisely. But what we're doing today, we're doing mass killings by starvation, and we're against that. We're saying we have enough resources if we use science and technology to the best of our ability without the monetary system to feed, house, and clothe everyone on Earth. We can do that today. That's what he's talking about.
I'm not against you. Sometimes a person comes up to me and he says, I have 10 children. And when I say, what are they for? What are they for? Just having children is not wisdom. No, I don't believe in depopulation. I believe in educating the public. Why don't you put 10,000 people on the boat? Because it'll sink. The displacement of that boat determines how many people you can put on it, not Fresco. And if you want to take 400 people, put them in a spaceship, it won't get off the ground. You have to figure what the thrust is, how much thrust you can develop in a spaceship. And when the government came up to scientists and said, can you put a man on the moon? The first thing they said is, I don't know. So I'm saying there is other ways of thinking about things, but you need help. When a man takes his belt off and whips his kid, is he bad? No. He doesn't know any other way to get to them. He says, do what your daddy says. The kid doesn't, so he whips him, because his daddy whipped him. He doesn't know. Now, protesting the stock exchange will not change anything. I hate to tell you this. I wish it did. I'm going to try to tell you what we have to do to live in a world without war, without poverty, without hunger, and without most crimes. All criminals are made by this society, by the monetary system and scarcity, and burdens that are too big for the average person to handle. There will be no armies, no navies, no prisons, and no police in a resource-based economy. Why? Because it's just like the public library. You can access any book you want to. Next door to the public library, we have a camera center where anybody in the community, and with 7 years, they're all kids, can walk in and say, I've come to check out the camera. Free, no fee involved. Do you understand that? Just like the public library. Next door to that, you have musical instruments, where anybody, like the public library, can check out any musical instrument. The Venus Project is sharing all the Earth's resources with all the world's people. A resource-based economy is using resources rather than money, making all things available to all people. And if you don't do that, you'll have wars, robbery, crimes of all kinds. Even every criminal is made by this culture. Once you make things available, that's the end of crime. Do you understand that? Not say don't steal. As long as you understand that people are made that way, when you're brought up in Australia, you say, I'm an Australian, and I'm proud of it. I'm a Greek, and I'm proud of it. That divides people. If you divide people, you can conquer them. So what the politicians say is things the public likes to hear. But scientists, not all of them, some of them, when they discover that the earth is round, they don't say to the public, it's a little round and a little flat, so you get along with everybody. No. They say you're wrong, it's not flat. Here's the evidence we have to show that it's round. And what you have to do is change people.
We built everything ourselves. Put in all the windows, we built the doors, we built over 400 models of the future. We didn't have any outside capital to do that. I had a full-time job. In order to support that, I put all the money towards that. We put all the money that we made in the Venus Project towards that as well. If anybody knows us, we work 7 days a week on promoting this direction. So we do have a nonprofit organization now. We are collecting donations for a major motion picture that we want to do to show what life in a resource-based economy would be like. And we live in the monetary system because we are working towards a resource-based economy. The county does not say, you're doing a great job, you don't have to pay taxes.
Thank you. Thank you for answering.